Yo, what's up, guys? I've been asked a few times to also make a speed team if you don't have a Teshar. Of course, if you do have that Teshar, check out the videos that are with Teshar and just do those because Teshar teams are mostly faster. There's a few options where it could be fast that it's not. And don't click away yet. Don't be like, oh, I don't have Deborah, never mind on this one. I don't have Mephisto, never mind on this one. We're going to go through a few iterations of different units and we're going to make it more and more free to play friendly with every iteration, and also probably because of that more slower, or just slower in general. But do you need good runes for this? Yes. Teshar team is definitely a lot more free to play friendly as in runes. It's of course not the unit, but it's for runes wise, it's a lot easier to get. So I'm going to showcase the runes. Don't be discouraged by the runes right away, because runes and artifacts, in most cases, it kind of isn't like a thing that you just have to try, see if you can make it. If it doesn't work, then you just reset back the runes. That's probably the best way. If it does cost you too much mana, well, then for this team particularly, I don't think that if you don't have enough mana yet, you probably can't really build this. Or you just try it out during a free rune removal. So I put my best set on the Julie right now. The Julie has to be at plus 60, I think. Or does it have to be plus 63? Let me actually quickly double check. No, it has to be plus 60. Prilia, as normal, I made it at plus 48 at least, and the rest of the units just have to be faster than the boss. So triple fight on this, a rage set on this, and you want to aim for as high crit damage as possible on Mephisto, because Mephisto is going to do S1 on the mid boss and the final boss and do most damage there. Then we have a decent set on the Kyle, just for the damage, 100% crit rate, and then also damage water, and then some crit damage less is what I placed on him. And this thing shouldn't take a move if you have good enough runes. That's the main thing. And then I have damage minus water on it, but that really doesn't matter. Like, it simply should not take a move. So if I let this run, let's see how this kind of stuff runs and how fast we should expect it to go. So in this case, we do have Prilia moving first, and we have Mephisto cleaning up the waves that Julie can't fully one-shot. But we have this S1 that does a decent amount of damage over here, but it's going to do a lot more damage at the final stage, because then it's draining from one of the two side towers. And that does do a lot of damage. So in here, we have that S1, we hit a good amount, and then we go for that skill, and then I lack a little bit of damage to kill it. You could have made it that if I made some damage set towards my Brandia, that my not the Brandia, the Deborah, if I had some damage sets on the Deborah would have actually been able to kill there as well. So if you put the damage Deborah on that, I think we would be looking at like 24-ish seconds. If we were to have a team, which is also a very important factor, if you do happen to have the Delcine rather than the Kyle, use Delcine, because Kyle animations are, for like the whole run like this, probably a second to 2 seconds slower. It's kind of stupid that Kyle's animations are just that much slower than the Dalsim animations are. Dalsim animations are just really fast. But yeah, I could make that if I put like a damage set on this. Currently, there's like no damage whatsoever on this. If I were to put like damage on water on this, and then also some damage artifacts, I would definitely be able to make it that this team could work if she also does enough damage. Or I would have to switch around the runes, where I probably get the best set on the Kyle and then second best set on the Julie, because I think it's good enough. I probably overkill those crystals or those golems by quite a bit. Let's see how much damage we do. Yeah, it does 14k. Probably I need like about 8k at that moment. So I would say if you're building this team, probably put the best set on the Kyle, second best set on the Julie, and the third best set on the Demon. And with that, it's probably the way to go if you're using this unit over there. However, there is of course going to be a very likelihood where you do not have a Deborah. So let's look at a replacement for Deborah. So I'm not entirely sure, but what if I just place Economia in there, and Economia is going to boost the Kyle? I'm not entirely sure how much damage I would have and if I have enough damage for the mid boss, because in current state it is not tuned to the point where I can actually do another hit on this one. So the Kyle would have to be killing on this, because he would get lapped over there. So that's kind of a issue where you would have to speed up the whole team if you actually want to do that properly, because now in this case, wait, Julie didn't get max HP, so therefore Julie didn't go for the proper skills. So if you want to do this, that is definitely something that you would have to speed up the whole team. That's an interesting hit as well. But let's just see like how much damage it would have been. Oh yeah, they're not even going for the correct skills right now. Yep, that's definitely an issue where you would have to speed up the whole team, because in this case it's different than the Teshar, because the Teshar actually moves second. So having a unit that moves second, move double, is quite a bit easier than a unit that moves all the way fourth and then move that one double. So that is a little bit of an issue where you would say like, okay, maybe that this is not really the right way to work around with that. But let's say if we put a Luna or a Homunculus. Let's go for the Homunculus because that one is a lot more free to play than the Luna. So yeah, the previous team, I guess it can work, but you would have to speed up all of the units and then you would have to move one tick earlier and then it's possible to cut at the right moment and then I guess it would be possible. Or unless you go for a setup where you would just have, well, just faster units in general. I guess that's the main thing to it. Let's put some artifact on the Homunculus, and we're gonna play it like the semi-manual thing, like how it should go. So just to easier be able to check like how much damage we're missing. So Mephisto goes over here, that's still fine. Let's see how much we do on those. Should be okay. Definitely will bring in the perfect. I said, wait, you actually kill right now? Well, okay, I do have fight runes on the Homunculus right now, so keep in mind the Homunculus might not be fight for everyone, but in this case it does kill because the fight runes in there, I guess. So yeah, this would definitely work. Like if you have good enough runes, I would probably go for this rather than going for the team where you have the economy in there. And I think this will just run like this most of the time, 24-second average. Definitely seems like a good team. Definitely also seems like a team where I would say if you have damage runes on fight, I would put damage runes on fight on the Homunculus. Because that would also make it that the Homunculus doesn't take the turn here. And therefore he always saves his S3 rather than he will be doing the S2 at the final boss at this position. There is also a big difference for Kyle. Like does Kyle go double S1 or does he go S1, S2 or anything like that? And keep in mind that those units all together, if they go for all of their multi-hits, because Prilia has a multi-hit and the Julie has a multi-hit, you have chance to get countered. So I would say that that's definitely a thing that you have to keep in mind. However, I would say that it's also kind of fine in the way it is. So this is definitely a team that I would say, if you don't have the Deborah, if you do have the Deborah, I think the Deborah would definitely be the best in slot over here. If you don't have the Deborah, I would definitely go for the Homunculus in here. I have seen teams where you go for Julie and then Kyle, Bird, Kyle, and then another Bird and then Kyle again. I don't think I will plan to run that team. I'm not entirely sure like how much speed you have. I might just give it a try for a run, like why not? But that is definitely something that you could work around as well, that you have. I think it's Prilia first, then Julie, then Kyle, and then double birds after that both boost up the Kyle. I guess that's the way that how that would work. But yeah, you do have the issue here that you could get into the range where the boss starts countering and therefore it does get a little bit slower. Then the question, like, let's say you do not have a Mephisto, which is definitely a common thing as well. If you do not have a Mephisto, I think Akamamir is probably the best option for that. It's going to be a lot worse, but it's probably the best side option for that. So let's look at Akamamir. Okay, so we have an Akamamir. It's not really the most optimal set, but it's definitely the set that is in the right tuning right now. So let's see how good Akamamir would do. Akamamir would do insanely good if he always does the S2 on the boss. So he is able to kill on the S3, that's the important part. But let's see right now, if he does the S2, you would do an insane amount of damage on the boss. But if he would go for an S1, you have a lot less damage. So that's definitely things that you have to keep in mind, like his damage output is a lot more fluctuating rather than the damage output of a Mephisto. However, this is totally a team that I could see working as well, but you still have the issue where you do a little bit less damage. I would say that the Mephisto is better in slot in here if you want to particularly use that. But it is an okay setup to do. I would say that this team is probably going to run you like 28, 29 average if you have like good enough runes on it. And they don't go for all of those multi-hitters. So let's just see one more time. Let's see how this goes. Yep, let's see if we go for an S1. I guess he has decent AI to do an S2, but it is actually enough for the S2 to into S2 to kill. I think that Akamamir might not actually have good artifacts at the moment, so that could be a thing. So in this case, we had an S2 from Yuda, so that's a lot better. So, okay, we still triggered that. Okay, that is fine. And then we have Sharp. Oh, yeah, you have a little bit too little crit rate. So that's, you have to fix the crit rate on your units. That's definitely important. So, yeah, that's definitely an option out there where you could say, like, okay, I will use this team with an Akamamir, and then for that reason, you have, like, the cleanup of that. But there's also, like I mentioned, the team with the Kyle and then the double bird. So let's actually just rune it up and then see how that works out. And in that case, I think I'll put the best runes that I have on the Kyle because he's going to take that many turns. It just makes sense for the Kyle to have multiple turns in. But I also would have to check like how fast I would have to make the team move to have Kyle also being boosted up a second time in the mid boss. It might have to be pretty fast. So the other option, the double bird one, is where you would have to make Prillia a little bit faster. Prillia has to be at least 118. The Julie has to be at least 86, but you don't really have to care. You just have to care about killing the side crystals rather than killing the whole thing. Like, that's not that important. And the Kyle has to be, let me double check, I think plus 62. Yeah, plus 62. And then the birds you want to have as close to the speed of the other units as possible. And I also would have to say that you probably have to put shield runes because you're going to hit the counter. So I'm not entirely sure if the double bird is the best for this potentially. But what I can say is that you can also use this in dragons. You only have to change the Prillia runes towards a Luna, which we're going to showcase in a second as well. But as you can see, it's pretty easy to actually kill this with just one bird up. You could also use the same team as this, but not use the second bird, and then use an homunculus over there. And I'll show you why and how that works later. But the main thing is, if you do this right now, you have to hit in here. You do quite some damage over there, but you get the counter right there. And because of getting the counter right there, you're going to do one more hit. But since the counter was there, it might have been that you did, or did you get enough damage where the last bird is going to be like, no, I got to heal. So yeah, it's not a super fast team. If you do have Delsim rather than Kyle, I think it probably brings it down to like 31-ish seconds. We're going to see one run if I do this with the homunculus rather than the second bird. So runes are still fine. I'm missing a little bit of crit rate, but that idea, it doesn't really change all too much. But you would need one really good damage set on the Kyle in this case, and you don't need multiple good damage sets. Plus, I will showcase this that I'm pretty sure you can bring this straight into dragons as well without switching any runes. So let's see if that works. I've seen other people use it and then use both teams. So if you don't really want to switch too many runes, that's definitely an option to have your dragons and giants team pretty much in the same style. So yeah, with this, we're definitely going to be able to do enough damage. He's going to do one more hit after this. And this is definitely perfect eye state for the homunculus. So I would definitely say if you do this, I wouldn't do it with double bird, but I would do it with an homunculus as final unit. And yeah, this is decently fast itself. It's just that a Delsim would do this absolutely a lot faster than a Kyle. Okay, so for the case of dragons, I did switch the Kyle to a damage on fire. That's definitely important to keep in there. I would say the Lorne has to be plus 121 speed. I didn't really put like proper runes to it right now, but I would recommend some damage runes, and you need the 65 accuracy. And then birds are still the same, pretty much similar speed as the Tion, like one speed slower. And in this case, I went for a full fight setup because you don't really need shield runes if this all runs correctly. So let's actually see how this runs. So we clear that over there. That looks good. We have that. Yep, nice pushback. And then it should be dead with just one extra hit. Oh, wait, my second bird is a little bit too slow. I messed up that part. Yeah, if you mess that up, they're gonna be like, yeah, I'm gonna boost you, and then yeah. So yeah, my second bird has to be a little bit slower for that. So just have to change that in a second, and then let's see if the Tion can actually do enough damage. I think the Kyle would do enough damage if he gets another turn in after that. Takes a little bit of time, but that's definitely fine. So let me actually reset the Tions, because now I think I'm 2 speed too fast on the birds. Yep. Is that 2 speed too fast? That is maybe even just 1 speed too fast. Does it even work? No, it's 1 speed too fast at the moment. Okay, slowing down the bird by 2 speed, and that should be all okay right now. If you're wondering how am I doing these speed checks, I will show you on the sheet in a second later. I did make a special video on that on speed ticks. You can definitely check that out, and also I will link the sheet that I'm using in for that stuff like in here as well. It's pretty easy to use, but it's recommended to check out that speed tick video. It's pretty useful for especially those dungeon teams that have to be very specifically like how does it work, where do you get like the buffs and that kind of stuff. So we get the first boost over here, we do a little bit more damage, and then we get a second boost, and with that second boost we definitely should be able to clear off the whole thing. So you're using the same sets right now to clear 2 different dungeons, and I do know that a lot of people out there definitely like that a lot. It's not super fast. I think both of your dungeon runs are going to be around like 30 seconds and 35 seconds or something like that. But it's definitely an option where you would say like, okay, I just use one set. And the cool thing is you need one good damage set on this, because I would say my Julie is kind of overkilling. You don't need this good of damage on the Julie at all. So it's just pretty much one good set and then one semi-good set, and that's pretty much all there is. And then you already have a Giants and a Dragons team, so definitely that. But let me show you that let me show you the spreadsheet of the speed ticks. So this is that spreadsheet. You see a lot of stuff, but the main thing is we have the, this is not a Aprilia anymore, this is a Lauren. We have the Lauren at 102, and then we need a 212 to get into the 6 tick. If you have no clue what I'm talking right now, recommend to check the first video in the description, which is about speed ticks. But that moves exactly in the speed tick. What would it look like if we were 1 speed too slow? We will see that we're 1 speed too slow, and therefore everything moves down. But therefore we also see that I get 100 boost of economy over here. That's not going to be enough to make the Kyle move over there. So that is why we want to have very specifically that 1 speed extra to have it move 1 tick earlier, and therefore the Kyle is, or the next unit, which is not a Luna but a Tion, is not going to take the turn over here, because then it would boost that Kona that we have seen over there. So that's the main thing that you want to do. And then you also want to check that if I were to make this 2 faster, which is still the Tion, this is what happened before. It also moved before, so we're going to look at this. And then you also always want to compare it to the boss that moves after. So technically I would get another 100 boost over here. But since the boss is, I'm not entirely sure what the boss is at for that stage, but I think it's like something like, I don't know what the number is, but it's something low enough that it actually does work. Or do you get another boost in here? Whoops. I'm not allowed to move it. Is that enough? I don't know. But yeah, the other boss is like, you have to check on Swar Farm or something like that. How fast is a boss? Like crystals and that kind of stuff are mostly this, so then it would cut in between the next Kyle. But I think the boss, especially the right crystals, probably something like this, and then the Kyle moves in front. Like, it's pretty much tuned all the way till 148 for an enemy right now, or something like that. Yeah, 148, 149 maybe as well. Yeah, 149, it's still tuned right. So, and then if you want to see like how fast is a boss, that's why you go to Swar Farm, you check on the dungeons. It doesn't have all of the things newly updated, but we can see over here the tower that is, wait, the dragon is this. Does that make sense? I was thinking like, why are we comparing it to a 163? Because 163, it wouldn't make any sense, because then it wouldn't move. But you have the Lauren with pushback. So you're actually comparing it in this case to the 121 of the right crystal, because we did see that left crystal move and actually put dots on it. But if we compare it to that 121 on the right crystal, then we can see that we still easily take a turn. Even that Lauren would take another turn before that right crystal moves, so could even push back even more and that kind of stuff. So that's pretty much how it works. That's how speed ticks works. I have a total different video on that. But guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and maybe you have some ideas that if you do not have a Teshar, or maybe you do have a Teshar but still want like the same units or the same runes for multiple dungeon teams, then this could help you out. Guys, thanks a lot for watching. See you always in the next one. Thanks for watching. If you would like to see more guides, join the Discord and check out the content tab, which has the dungeon guide archive and the video guide archive, which contains all of the guides that you need. Hope to see you there.